Edgar Thompson works. The Edgar Thompson works were Andrew Carnegie's first steel works here in the valley. They were built in about 1880, and they are the only steel works in the valley that are still producing raw steel. What you're looking at here, this large building, is the basic oxygen furnace. Those are the cooling tanks there and water treatment facilities. And then this begins a bank of blast furnaces as you move up through the plant. You see the Washington, the Turtle Creek Bridge there, Route 30, and on up the valley. What they're doing here is making steel and slabs for the Irvin Works, which is the flat-rolled products mill. The blast furnace that you see right there is the only blast furnace that's working, and it's the iron that's made there is transported in those cars down through the mill here into this large building, where it's made into steel in basic oxygen furnaces. And then that steel is rolled into slabs, and the slabs are shipped up the river to the Irvin Works, where there's a hot strip mill, and the slabs are rolled into flat sheet steel. We're just across the river, incidentally, from Kennywood Park. And this is the steelworks that you see from the Ferris wheel or from the railroad ride in Kennywood Park. Again, this is the only steel making facility that's still operating in the valley. It's the Edgar Thompson Works. Works. You'll see the sign for the Duquesne Works. Come down here into this U.S. Steel Duquesne plant. Duquesne plant was a bar mill. Originally built as a rail mill to compete with Andrew Carnegie's rail mill over at Edgar Thompson. And Mr. Carnegie drove them out of business and bought the plant at cost about 2 years after it was opened. And up until about 5-6 years ago, 1982-83, it was operating as the primary producer for the valley. And they replaced that with Edgar Thompson. Thompson had a better rolling facility than this. Maybe a place that we can pull over. This down here are the blast furnaces. Blast furnaces for Duquesne Works. And these are, you get as close to these blast furnaces as you do any in the valley. Blast furnaces are used to make the iron, molten iron, for the steel production. This last little tower here, there isn't even a blast furnace left, but that was the famous Jane, or Dorothy furnace that across a bridge that is characteristic of under construction. Just as you cross the bridge here, you go from the Duquesne side over on the Keysbridge side, you see the beginning of the national plant, U.S. Steel's national plant, that stretches up the river there. The national plant was originally National Tube Company, which was the world's foremost producer of steel tubes and oil country Thompson National Works. Up until about 3 or 4 years ago, the blast furnaces. We're over on the McKeesport side of the Mon right now, looking at the National Works, formerly the National Tube Company, which was at one time the world's foremost producer of tubular products, oil country goods. Down at this end of the plant, which is the downstream end of the plant, was where the blast furnaces were. Up until about 1983 or 84, they stood right here. They were called the Monongahela furnaces, and they have been torn down. They were right along the river here, very, very close for view, but as you can see, there's not much left of the National plant. This was a world-famous plant. The National Tube Company was the world's greatest producer of tubular products, and during World War II, the pipe for the big-inch pipeline that connected Texas and the oil sources down there with the refineries on the East Coast. The tube was made here because this was the only plant in the world that could produce tube of that diameter. And the oil that flowed through that was refined on the East Coast and then shipped over for the war effort enabled our tanks to keep running when the Germans were running out of gas. Of the times, and this is right where the Monongahela furnaces used to stand. You can see all the scrap steel here that was basically from the sheds that surrounded the furnaces, and then these big pipes that connected the furnaces together. The building has a 1905 written into the brickwork. Give you an idea of how old. It looks like one of the newer buildings.